All right, sorry about that, everybody. I lost my sidekicks. I got to take calls and actually work today. Not like myself. All right, so what we're doing right now, it is April 6th, 2026. My wife's back from Nashville, so I kind of remember the days now. Do's and don'ts in the whole mortgage process. All right. Now, I feel like I say this a lot. I don't want to sound condescending, but what's common knowledge to me, once again, not common knowledge to everybody. All right, so we're going to go over the do's and the don'ts throughout the mortgage process. Now, when I think of the mortgage process, I think of an entire year. All right, a lot of people, we're just like, we want instant gratification these days. We're like, oh, I'm just gonna go look at a house today and put an offer in without doing any legwork before, without seeing if you qualify for the house. Yeah, you don't want to do that. All right, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Right. So do's and don'ts. Do 1 year. Okay. What do I mean by 1 year? You could have a kid on the way. You could have landed your first big boy job. You could be expecting a promotion. What you want to do is get pre-approved where you are today in anticipation for buying a house into the year. You'll know what you need to do if you need to pay off debt, if you need to not renew that lease or get a new car, if you need to not buy that engagement ring, if you need to not open up that credit card or go on that trip. All right, you should prepare for a year out. You need to know how much you save and how much you save in order to either put, say, 20 versus 10% down to get a better rate and not pay PMI, or even just get a better rate. So always anticipate a year out. And you can do regular check-ins. Like, people are more than happy to talk to you, right? So even if you're like, maybe I'll buy a house, just call the bank and see what you got going on for you, right? So prepare in a year out. All right, that's the fun part. All right, that's easy. Don't buy a new car throughout the process, okay? Now, there's a gray area here because you can actually get a new car, but just double check with your loan officer first to make sure that you still qualify for the home should you buy said car, whether you have enough assets to close via down payment, closing costs, and reserves if you need them, or if you carry that $500 monthly payment. I think the average car payment right now, don't quote me on this, is like $600 a month. Okay. So if you're adding $6 a month to your debt to income ratio, that could really hurt your parameters. And if your DTI exceeds a certain threshold, it could actually impact your rate too. So don't get a car, or I should say, without checking. All right. Without checking. With LO, loan officers. People that write loans are called loan officers. You could call them a loan advisor. Call them whatever you want. Just don't call me late. All right. Now, do have all of your documents in PDF format. We went over this about what documents you need. Actually, I might have went over just the income documents because like bank statements are pretty easy. All right. PDFs. We don't want pictures. I don't want page 1 of your 1040. We need everything. The full federal return, the full bank statement, 4 pay stubs. Really, it's only 2, but just 4 pay stubs, okay, and W-2s. All documents that are easy to come by that you have control over. All right, the best is when someone applies for a loan and they're like, oh, how quickly can we close? And I always like spin it. I'm like, well, how quickly do you want to get me everything I need? And it's like, whoa, really? Like, yeah. Like, if you get me everything I need, I'll close you in 3 weeks. More often than not, I'm not getting everything I need right away, which really holds up the process. So it's only hurting you. So do get docs. 1 and 2 kind of tie in together, right? Because if you call your lender a year out and say, hey, what do I need for this process? Dude, he's going to tell you what you need. You should have this. If you don't have a laptop, just go get one from Best Buy. They're maybe $500. All right. You need it anyway. Don't use your work laptop for personal gain or personal stuff. Okay. Just because, if you work Canada and all your stuff's on your work laptop, what are you going to do? So get a laptop, have all your docs in PDF format, and know where they are. You can log into your bank account, download the statement, the full statement. Okay. That's a do. Don't finance furniture. Okay. This is actually a big one. People get real excited to go just like furnish their home before they even have said home. Okay. And just like the lender credit thing, this happens more often than not. People just start, all right, I'll just put, $1,000 down on this $5,000 couch. I'm going to finance it over the course of a year. I'm thinking, well, that payment's another $200. Now we got to reevaluate. Okay. Don't finance furniture. If you think you want to finance furniture because you're too excited, you don't want to have pizza on the floor with a bunch of lawn chairs, that's fine. Call your loan officer. Make sure you still qualify. Make sure it's not going to impact you closing on this house. What everyone hates, your attorney's going to hate you, your realtor's going to hate you, your mom's going to hate you, your dad's going to hate you because they want you to move out of their goddamn house. Don't delay closing by financing furniture. The couch can wait. Get a beach chair, Drake and Josh. It'll be funny. I promise. All right. Don't finance furniture. Okay. Do, and this is a big one and I mean this, ask questions. Okay. The worst thing you can do is go into the biggest financial investment of your life and still have doubt or still not know something. Okay. So as loan officers, we're here to help and we're here to, be your liaison through this financial process. So ask questions. If you're not sure of anything, if you want something in writing, just ask. Sometimes everyone's communication style is different. I don't really fancy text. I'm more keen on email because it's more professional and I know I have it. Where text, if you text me Friday at 8 when I'm having dinner with my wife, I'm like, that's kind of disrespectful, right? And I'm here to help, but I have a family too, right? So, but ask questions in a professional manner, okay? And it comes with etiquette too, like kind of like how you were raised. I'm not gonna say your parents are bad people, but like ask questions and be polite about it, right? Don't be rude. You're not gonna be rude to your waiter. Don't be rude to me, right? Respect's a two-way street. So do ask questions. I just felt like your dad there. I apologize, but I mean that, right? So don't. I'll roll into that one. Be rude. What do I mean by that? Don't blow up my phone Friday at 8 o'clock, right? If it was that important, we could have tackled it on Monday. We could tackle it the day before, right? Nothing is that big of a rush, no matter what everyone says. As long as you prepare, it's not that big of a rush. All right. So just don't be rude. Say thank you. Say please. Thank you for your time, as I will to you. That's just really common courtesy. And just because you're buying a house and you're going to put like $50,000 down on this house doesn't mean you get to treat me like cat water, right? So don't be rude. All right. Pretty, the golden rule there. All right. Another do is not only be prepared, but ask for help. Okay. So, yeah, you can ask me for help, but also ask your parents, right? Ask their advice. So, when I bought my first house, I don't want to listen to my parents at all. Okay. And it was a little bit of a beater, and I did well to fix it up, and it was like a fun game. It was right before COVID. But, if I had taken their advice a little bit, like their advice, my dad was like, Ryan, what you should have did, I hate moving. You should have spent a little extra money to buy a home that you could see yourself in, that you could build on, or actually like have a family in, as opposed to a starter home. Okay, so it's always good to learn from others' mistakes or other success stories. I don't think you have to do it on your own. Like you have family, you have friends, a support staff that's here to help. So I really do think it's important that you continue to ask questions and then ask for help. There's no shame in asking for help. Help is like sex, right? If you could get it, freaking take it, right? Come on. Ask for help. Okay. All right. Don't, and I mean this wholeheartedly, don't have your credit pulled by everybody and their mother. All right. When I'm pre-approving somebody, I actually really don't need to pull your credit. I will do it occasionally. Like if I issue your credit and you can't give me like a good answer right off the rip, like, oh well, I was bankrupt, I pull a credit card. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna need to pull your credit. But most of the time, especially if you're on auto debit, like I've been reminding you, your credit's gonna be good. And in the 740, 780 range. Therefore, I can price your loan out accordingly. Okay. But don't, and I mean don't have everybody and their mother pull their credit. Don't pull credit. We'll just say a lot. Okay. Like one or two hard pulls isn't going to kill you, right? But I've seen it where people have like 13 hard pulls, and it actually can make a world of difference because if you go from 740 even to 735, that impacts your rate. And again, like I say, like is an eighth going to kill you? No, but that's something that could have easily been avoided should you just been patient and not have everyone pull your credit. Okay. I'll add on to that. Don't lie. All right. Nobody likes a liar, and throughout the mortgage process, we're going to find all the skeletons in your closet. All right, whether it's from the title search, right, if you have tax liens, or just all your documents. Like people put falsified income on their application all the time, right? And I look at their tax returns, and I'm like, easy there, brother. Like you don't make nearly as much as you said you did, and then and then we got to work around. And if you put an offer in on a home, you want to do this without a pre-approval, and they actually accept your offer, now you're kind of stuck. Right? And that actually happens. People put offers in before getting pre-approved. Maybe they have assets, or maybe the realtor just says, screw it, we'll just throw it in. Yeah. Or you lied to your realtor and said you had a pre-approval and you threw offer. So don't lie. All right. Lies have a funny way of coming out. All right. And like you kind of tell who's lying, right? You kind of siphon that shit out. And you're like, well, I kind of think you're lying. And I know you're lying because I have all your documents. All right. So don't lie. Okay. Do kind of like be prepared. What I like to do is, I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, right? Although I have my to-do list every day. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be working on the boat or, walking my dogs. I'm just kidding. But, if it's the weekend and I know you're going to look at houses, okay, what I ask is like, send me the Zillow links to these houses, right? We'll see what they're going for. All right, and depending on the market, like if it's hot or not, like you might have to go over. So what I'll do is I'll actually send multiple pre-approvals. This way you have ammo. All right, we're like, all right, well, what's the most you're willing to go on this house? What's the most you're willing to go on this house? Like pre-approvals, they're pretty easy to generate and they look real nice. You know, they have a letterhead, they have your name, they have your address, they have sometimes your rate, sometimes not, depending on the system, right? You know, the purchase price and how much you're putting down. So what I like to do, along with asking questions, is ask for, we'll just put this, multiple pre-approvals. Now, some of you might be asking, I put a video about the pre-approval process up. Okay, well, if I'm pre-approved, why do I need multiple letters? So if you're playing Texas Hold'em, you have pocket aces, you're not going to show everybody your pocket aces, right? Nor do you want to show the seller of a house what you can actually qualify for, okay? As ethical or unethical as it may seem. You know, if they know you're qualified for 600, you only offered 500, they might say, oh, well, let's just say I have no offer and we're going to boost that offer. Unethical, it happens. Don't at me. Okay, so ask for more. All right, if you want to go under, that's fine. Write your pre-approval letter for under, but we customize your pre-approval letters specific to the offer that you want to make on certain homes. The other reason for that is because taxes change on homes. Okay, and it can affect how much you're gonna be approved for. Right, taxes on $1 million home are gonna be a lot more than taxes on a $400,000 home. All right, if you're downsizing, if you're upsizing, what have you. Okay, we need to know the estimated taxes of the property. This way we can write up a pre-approval accordingly. And then what we do is I always issue, especially if I know you're actively shopping, right? People shop these days for like, you know, months. And I mean months. And that's fine. I'll write up 20 pre-approvals. It's really no problem. It takes 2 seconds. However, always gauge what your limit is. This way, your gun's loaded, right? You got a revolver, you got 6 bullets. Okay. If you're in a bidding war, it happens more so during COVID. Not going to happen anymore because nothing's that big of a rush. All right. But you got 6 pre-approvals ready to go. Be like, oh, yeah, well, I have another one. And you say, I have another one. Here we go. And then you could really hedge your bet that way. So always ask for multiple pre-approvals. All right. It's not a burden. It goes in with asking questions. As long as you're polite about it, not being rude, you'll be right as rain. However, the biggest takeaway from this, as much as I'm lecturing, is just really cut it with the financing during the process. Okay. If you're prepared, you won't have to worry about that. Okay. Because you'll know what you can also add to your debt to income ratio via monthly installments. But you really just, right before you close, what we do is we do a soft pull to see if you increase your debt. Okay, excuse my dog. She's fighting with another dog through the fence. We see any other inquiries and any other open lines of credit throughout the process that are different from our initial credit report, right? So it's really important that even if you are going to finance something, you ask us first. We'll tell you yes or no. Now, if we tell you no and you still do it anyway, don't come crying to me if you don't qualify for this house anymore or you have to put more down. Okay, so it's just, again, kind of common courtesy here. Like, we want to make sure everyone's on the same page because we all have the same goal. All right, at this point, we're all on the same team. We want to help you close on the house. Okay, so just ask us and don't be afraid to call. Okay, again, I'm not too keen on texting, but if you got a text, it happens. Everyone's busy. We have technology. It's all good, but email, call, that's the best way to do it. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid to ask for help ever. Okay. Off the top of my head, that's pretty much it. A lot of it's just the golden rule about being a human being, but yeah, careful with financing furniture and cars. All right, that's the big one. Definitely don't lie. All right, the do's are a lot easier to control than the don'ts. But, we're going to say, if I'm going to underline 2, it's going to be to ask questions and don't finance anything. Okay? Like and subscribe. If you got any questions, hesitant on anything, feel free to drop a comment. I'll answer you as quickly as possible. But, yeah, Mortgage Bro Science, and my guys are still MIA, and I got to get my dog. So thanks a lot.